You've got to have your best form late on in the season to go and score the points required. But the one thing is very telling. There is no Gabriel Ivanov here. The overall championship now holds in the hands of Johan Neshev against Velin Vitanov with a 40-point margin at the top. And Rusty Koshev could still prove to be a factor in those regards. We find ourselves at a point of racing where everyone now stands up and notes that today is an opportunity and their chance with just one round to go after this to say, I could be the very, very best of the best here for this one. My name's Shakespeare, bringing you all the coverage here with SimGear and your round of the SimGear GT Masters here. They've only got one round after this, which will be Interlagos, as they will get themselves set and ready in qualifying trim for this one. 30 minutes worth of qualifying about to take its shape. And so now they will set themselves up for what will be the all-important arrangement of racing that we are about to get. We will take a very important look at these GT4s that are setting themselves off and away, because it is 4 straight victories in a row, which puts the cat amongst the pigeons for everybody in GT4 category, because you turn around and say this has been the Huno Horshi show and friends as far as this has gone, because for the moment Huno Horshi on 322 points. He's got the most points out of anybody in any individualized category out there, ahead by just 15 though over Martin Yankov, who has been uberly consistent over the course of this season. But consistency is no good when you're up against win after win after win after win. Daniel Struchka is 38 points back. Then it's a long way back to the Irish driver Kamto Chikure, then in 4th position. Radlen Ivanov is 5th at 4 points back of that. Then it's Alex Stefanov and Dylan Stebler up to 7th on 219 points. Norbert Hay is 8th ahead of Kevin Abey, 9th on 204. And then Dimitar Dimitrov on 202 championship points makes the top 10 as far as GT4 standings go. So they will be eyeing up today the all-important results, which will be coming through as we take a look then at the drivers looking to gear up for their first flying attempt around this circuit. Our focus then just flicks ever so slightly back then towards the likes then of, I believe this is Dimitar, sorry, not even Dimitar Dimitrov, as we're going through the long run chicane, Dylan Stebler, who is out there trying to work on towards the first flying laps that we see out there on circuit, and the long drive that will be needed over the 10 minutes they will have in qualifying, and the 105 of Alexander Nikolov Jr. having a big slide to start off proceedings, which will put a little bit of a dampener on this first attempt of a lap. But this is a circuit that will need a little bit of time to get up to speed, because in terms of track temperature, it's only 28 degrees here. So they would turn around and look at this and say, it is not that warm. And not surprisingly, it is not that warm. They will, in every single stage, in every single sense, need as much heat to go into the tyres as they can and warm themselves up, maybe for lap 2, maybe for lap 3 in this GT3 and GT4 spec of running and racing. They will say this is where you need to be absolutely on it for the racing action. Martin Yankov looking good, green in all sectors, so too is Kevin Abey. But I would look over towards Huno Horshi as the one who is looking to try and set the timing sheet alight at this moment. There is 101, the reigning champion of GT4, Yankov, over towards the line, sets a 53.3. Kevin Abey, who was tucked up underneath with draft, actually takes the fastest time of the first attempts there with a 52.5. Huno Horshi is only 3rd behind Norbert Hay on a circuit circuit like this, where you need to draft around to get yourself the control of where you need to be, that is going to be a very telling opening effort from many of those who are looking to qualify out there. Krastin Stanchev on a 54.6, then is currently in that 6th position as those times are starting to litter up the boards. The Moser Racing car there looking to make progress over to the line as well. And Dimitar Dimitrov ultimately does not set a time with his effort as we look at the 1-2-1 car of Alex Stefanov, then the teammate of Martin Yankov, and hoping that the pace is going to be there of the 1-2-1 to jump up to the very top of the order. Very difficult when you're out there on your own and in cars that do not quite hit the same speed thresholds that you see in GT3. Yankov with a purple sector. That's taken away by Radlin Ivanov, who is currently in 10th position on a 2:01. So Radlin here, who's about a second back, is getting the benefit of the draft, but not so much of the negative of the dirty air. And I think that's where you're starting to see that drivers are getting advantages compared to others. You need to be able to find someone to work with over the course of this qualifying. And so if you're able to go and get that pace, because Stebler's second on a 52.8, Hey third and Horsey fourth, it's a case of it's the Swiss versus the Hungarians, but Radlin Ivanov will jump in between that with a 152.8. Kevin Aby's on a 52.3. He's half a second clear of the field. Struchka goes third, and Hunor Horsey all of a sudden is 6th and now 7th because Alex Stefanov now has gone through. Stebler looks like he's on a lightning fast lap. A purple 2nd and 3rd sectors indicates he's quicker than anybody else at the moment, and that could be an all-important lap. A yellow 4th sector, though, isn't going to be good for the eyes, as they will hope that their charges over towards the line are going to be critical at this stage of running. And Dylan Stebler now needing to find half a second to take pole, puts a 52.4 down and means that it is a 1 and a 2 for Maffei Racing, who look like they've got a car that works underneath them here today. They look like they have come to pretty much upset the tone of everybody else, and I think everybody now is going to just wake up and realize this isn't an easy day. This is going to be a tough day out there at the office. Patience is going to be the biggest virtue, and the biggest shock at the moment is that Hunor Horsey and Martin Yankov are both not in positions that would indicate they can do much about it. I can't remember the last time that Martin Yankov was a full second off the pace. He's on a 53.3 compared to the 52.3 that is currently being shown out there at this stage. So this is a very, very scary moment for Martin Yankov if he wants to go and make something of this. He'll have 2 minutes left on the clock. That will be enough to get 2 laps in if he should so need it. And crossing the line he goes, a 53.237. He did slightly improve, but it's just that, a slight improvement. Norbert Hey goes second fastest. Hunor Horsey finally gets the lap time he was looking for. He moves to pole in the Aston Martin and says, look, it's car 112 that's going to be the best out there. But Stebler's still on a stormer. He's purple in the 2nd sector. He's been green in every other sector out there. He's only a 10th and a half short of that pole position. And I would love to see the full timing tower up there just so you could all see the gaps on just how close this qualifying is, because currently the top 5 are split by just 2.5 tenths of a second here around this Daytona International Speedway. Dylan Stebler is going to come to the line, and he does a 52.3. That last sector just couldn't wake up and smell the coffee, just behind Kevin Aby out there at this stage, and knowing with just a minute to go before effectively it closes off, and then the AMs and the Pro-Ams will get their chance to go out there and set their lap times. This is starting to have ramification that this is the toughest circuit for Martin Yankov. He hasn't got the help he's wanted here in his qualifying, and they've been waiting for a moment. It's been a chip and a chip and a chip, and they've been waiting for the chisel to break through the stone. And as far as qualifying goes, they've just found it. at this moment, and Martin Yankov sure will know it as far as this qualifying is going. That BMW is short on pace today here in the Panhandle of America in Florida. So now they look behind. There'll be no improvements left from Kevin Avey. He'll be done as far as qualifying effort goes. There's one more attempt available for Martin Yankov as they all try and get out of pits. A 53.247, still not quite enough to go and get it done. Stebler's got a purple third sector and will be trying to improve out there, but I think he has just pulled that off and abandoned it. So there's not much that can be done. Norbert Haye then, I think, is going to look around and say fourth, and that will be that. With only the exception of Yankov and co in that line who can go and get that result. And so it will just be Martin Yankov and Norbert Haye. And there might actually be a sneaky bit of slipstream here. Sorry, there is Dylan Stebler. He's just on the other side of the circuit here. And he's hoping that this one's going to work because he's green in Sector 4. And he's got a lovely bit of draft from Dimitar Dimitrov heading towards the line. Dylan Stebler, can he steal one? 51.9. Yes, he can. So it is enough for Dylan Stebler. He stole it by 3/10. The perfect draft to end his qualifying. He might have just stolen GT4 pole. He might have just stolen GT4 pole from everyone. And Martin Yankov can only hope with his improvement in Sector 2 that Sectors 4 and 5 are going to be more than enough to get that one over the line. He'll tackle this Le Mans chicane, really fighting hard for it. He will get some help, actually, from Ivan Boromechkov and the Jordanin Svetanov, who will need to go by on the top side as they go by. But I think they're going to be a bit too late back because there will be some waiting here for a Jordanin Svetanov to get the slingshot for this qualifying attempt. Here comes Martin Yankov to the line. Norbert Haye doesn't look like he's going to improve here on this one, but crossing the line, Yankov is nowhere on a 54 flat, and that's quite telling here as that one goes. GT4 in the books with Stebler on pole. A bit of light flashing there from one of the lime green GT3 Porsches, that Ivilo Dimitrov trying to get around Milen Milchev. Let's go talk championship standings then in GT3 AM, because Stanimir Borisov does hold that control at the moment in the number 92, but critically his gap has shrunk in the GT3 AM standings, now down to 32 points over Stanislav Naidenov. And as I say that, Borisov has just gone straight across the West Horseshoe with a moment at the kink, and he's been joined by Rosti Koshev with a spin. Believe it or not, the leaders then of GT3 AM and Pro-Am have just spun on both their outlaps. That's incredible. But Lyubimir Plamenov is now 33 points back. Ivilo Dimitrov now at 42 points adrift. Lazar Katsarski is 5th, but 45 points back. Then it's a big gap to Valentin Stemenkov on 199 points. He's 6th with Nicholas Nikosh, Hristo Sarkazov, and then Alexander Nikolov Sr. and Jack Tolchard, who we haven't seen since round 3 of the championship. So Tolchard, I think, has called his season done and dusted, and now it will be about giving everything that you can. I can confirm that Gabriel Ivanov has turned up to race, and he has turned up in the middle of qualifying, so he will have no laps under his belt here in practice, and his qualifying laps are the only way he's going to get up to speed with his car. We'll talk about GT3 Pro in a moment. Rosti Koshev in charge of GT3 Pro-Am Rally 3 with a lead of 24 points now over Joris Ooms, who is that driver in second position. But critically, I look around at the times. Joris Ooms in the number 49 has set the fastest time at the moment in qualifying of a 46.3. He's just been pipped by Nikolai Mikov at the moment. Jordanin Svetanov is a long ways back. He's 78 points adrift in third, which is more than a race-winning margin at this stage with 2 rounds to go. So all by Joris, it looks like, in the fight for GT3 Pro-Am honours, as Nikolai Mikov is 4th and Arnie Weiss is 5th. He's only 2 points ahead, is Arnie Weiss, of Maxim Dimitrov on 220 points, with Milan Milchev up to 7th, just 7 points back of that. Vladimir Mavrodiev, 3 points adrift, with Roy Viveka 9th, and Ivan Boromechkov now dropping 6 places in Pro-Am Rally 3, going down to 10th position overall. So a pretty big move as far as the championship will go. But they are starting to put those times on in GT3 Am and GT3 Pro-Am for the moment. So keep an eye out on who can get themselves up to speed and who is managing what. There is car 49, which is the other of the red Mark Speed cars out there. That is Roy Viveka, or Roy of the Rovers. Sometimes we will say, sorry, no, I'll correct myself. That is not Roy Viveka. That is Joris Ohms, sorry, in the 49. Viveka is running in the 32 today. And so in that 49, Joris Ohms looking for draft. Oh, a 144.9. Yeah, that works. He's 3/10 clear of Ivilo Dimitrov. Arnie Weiss in the 47, the blue Mark Speed car, is doing well. And Koshev is absolutely flying out there in the number 34. A purple first, second, and third, which turns into just a purple second and third. He's 3/10 clear of Joris Ohms, and there's a reason why in the overall standings, Rosti Koshev is 4th overall. His Pro-Am pace belies him. He has enough pace to go out there and be a pro as far as it goes, and he has done a brilliant qualifying lap there to put himself on top of proceedings. As it goes, you've also got Yulian Janovsky here making a start here for Racing Action, and he will be hoping to get a good launch forward in his Porsche, which is currently missing its rear wing down in the pit. So something's gone terribly wrong there in order to put that time together the way it's wanted, and we'll have to serve all of that time to get a brand new rear spoiler on the back of the car. Roban Skelton looking quick. That's a spin for the 89. Coming out of the West Horseshoe, Valentin Stemenkov then having to go through the signage hoarding to get back onto circuit again. Disastrous in that effort of attempt, but this might be the only qualifying where it pays to have friends. And compared to others out there, you can't necessarily get all the time you need in qualifying on your own. You're looking to try and catch a car just at the right place. What a beautiful SIMGEAR livery that is there on the negative Delta car, making its progress. Yordanin Svetinov over towards the line, crosses it on a 45-1, goes third, then just profiteering off of Joris Ohms, who did improve by 1/10 of a second, but just that, 1/10 of a second. And so drivers might be thinking of cool laps. Ivilo Dimitrov is currently on top of your AM standings at the moment here in qualifying, and Ivilo, who's moved himself up to 4th, he's only 42 points back. He could be making a late charge here if he turns around and says, look, everyone else, keep an eye out on what I'm doing. Stanimir Borisov, by comparison, I'm just looking down or up and down this field. Borisov on a 45.8 as it currently stands at this moment in time, is good enough in class to be in 5th position. So he's a little out the order here with 2 minutes to go in qualifying. Already lined up down at pit exit, by the way, is Venceslav Raichanov and Gabriel Ivanov. The pit lane is closed for them. A little cheeky to be there so early, waiting to get out and going. Their tyres will cool exponentially. Stemenkov backwards through the kink, so he's going to have himself trouble. He's actually just backed it into the barriers, but there is Joris Ohms, who's really working hard here because he knows he's got 2/10 he's got to chase down at this moment in time, but he's yellow through the first 4 of 5 sectors. I don't see a way he gathers this back. He's gearing up for another flyer, a cool lap for a push lap, which will come along. Svetinov improving, so too Skelton, so too Ivilo Dimitrov, who could be a threat late on here in this qualifying session, leading the AM category as things go. Roban goes up to 8th place and will get the change. Svetinov 5th on a 45.1, and so now you're thinking, I might be in a little bit of a scary place because Maxim Dimitrov is going to shake the apple cart as he goes stage hunting late in this season and now gets himself the GT3 Pro-Am pole away from Koshev, who's down in the pit. Nikolai Mikov goes third then and puts a lovely time down there to start bumping Joris Ooms out of the order. Ivaylo Dimitrov still safe against Lazar Katsarski. The difference there is 0.2 of a second between them, and that's a better lap time from Hristo Sarkazov, who will jump up then onto a 1:45.4. It will put him ahead of Stanislav Naidenov and Lyubomir Velkov, and third of them overall. It now drops down Stanimir Borisov to 6th out there at the moment. Top 3 not out there. Only one who can make anything happen is Joris Ooms at this moment, who's green in 2, green in 3, Svetinov green in 2, Svetinov green in 3, Svetinov green in 4 at the moment. Ooms is green in sector 4, and this is where you're noting that there are chances to improve, even if it's not the fastest we have seen. Checker flag out here in qualifying. You're starting to wonder, it will be Robin Skelton first to the line, but Jordanin's got a good chance here to jump himself up the order to say, I can go and snatch a pole in class away. Won't go down below the apron, will drive it over towards the line. Joris Ooms can't do enough and will have to stay in placement. Ivaylo on a 44.8 improves. So too does a Jordanin Svetinov. And so Ivaylo Dimitrov 4th, a Jordanin Svetinov 5th. And ultimately, you'll ask whether Lazar Katsarski can do anything. No, down into the pits. And now we turn to what are 3 championships, one of which most likely will be decided here tonight. And that one is the team standings. So as far as it goes, team standings follows the order of the drivers' general standings, and for the moment it is negative delta by iLiveries, who are the team of Johan Neshev and Velin Vitanov. They're 151 points clear of Mark Speed Racing out there, and that is critically Joris Ooms and also Roy Viveka's team, compared to Leon Kiermaier and Arnie Weiss, who are only 10 points back of that. So 151 points, lest we forget that maximum amount of points that you can score roughly in a race, as I'll take a look at the rule book, is 73 points. So 73 points for a single driver. So you're turning around and saying second score 63, plus 2, plus 1, so 66. So get the calculator out. So it will be actually 65 plus 73, which is 100 and something 8 out there. As we all know, commentator math is the absolute worst to deal with at the moment. So it's 70 plus 63 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1, the 2 points being the 0 instant race that can be had. That's 138 points. So basically, Mark Speed, which is the Pro-Am team of Joris Ooms and Roy Viveka, will have to try and outscore Velin Vitanov and as well Johan Neshev by the looks of things, at least 14 points in order to keep the team's championship alive here today. As far as it goes in the GT3 Pro standings, Johan Neshev takes a lead, takes a small lead over Gabriel Ivanov after Spa didn't go the way for either of them. It's 14 points, the difference between them. But critically, Velin Vitanov is right back in the GT3 Pro standings at 32 points back off of Johan Neshev. So he's still very much alive in that sense for Velin Vitanov, who had needed that victory at Spa last time out. Leon Kiermaier is 4th ahead of Chris Razhalov, with Ivaylo Boychev 6th. Ventsislav Raichanov up to 7th with Christian Novev 8th, and then Łukasz Sipua and Nicholas Stanev making up the top 10. In driver general, as the first laps are coming in, Chris Razhalov quickest on the first attempt with a 44.3, Neshev on a 44.2, and then it's a long way back to find Gabriel Ivanov on a 45.2 at the moment. Gabriel Ivanov still leads the overall standings and does so by 21 over Johan Neshev, with Velin Vitanov 40 points adrift at 61 points back, 238. Koshev 4th, Joris Ooms 5th. Chris Razhalov is then 6th on 194. Leon Kiermaier is 7th with Arnie Weiss in 8th. And then it's Maxim Dimitrov and Nikolai Mikov. And here's the stat of the day for you. In terms of the top 12, there are 5 GT3 Pros and 7 GT3 Pro-Ams in the top 12 of the Drivers' General standings. So that is a huge mark out there compared to a lot out there that you see in championships. And you often find that championships are about who can find their pace, and it's pro-dominated, but here not so much because the Pro-Ams do well. Gabriel Ivanov's just had to abandon ship there on that lap. That's going to do no favours at all, neither for Venceslav Raichanov, who's going to need to get himself up with pace at the moment. So Gabriel Ivanov suddenly is going to need a lot of help to get his times in because he's already burnt half the time. This lap's not going to count, and so he'll be hoping that he can get himself up to speed. Johan Neshev actually is also in a really interesting position. He's been driving today predominantly in an AMG Mercedes here at Daytona as he was running in the Sports Car Republic Championship for GT Open. He won the GT3 Pro-Am class there in that race, which was just a couple of hours ago. But he's had to transfer into the Ford Mustang, which is a slightly slower car here at Daytona, and so he'll be worried about his pace. Again, Vrajilov is a quarter of a second quicker than Johan Neshev, and he is really being forced to work. Christian Novev third, and Velim Vitanov is currently in fourth position. So improvements needing to be found. Ivanov is green in sector 2, so too is Raichanov, and both of them are mired down the order, needing to improve. Raichanov is 17th, Ivanov is 13th, and so neither of them in a position where they're really making much headway at the moment. But we'll see. Raichanov, green in sector 3, yellow in sector 3 for Gabriel Ivanov. Leon Kiermaier, who is yet to set a time, is going to be on the back of them as well, hoping to try and improve. Velim Vitanov is looking like there's improvement. He is still as much in the championship as everybody else, but, of course, needs to have a big day and find some troubles for others. And over the curbs again is Gabriel Ivanov. And that's going to cause a lot of trouble as he bounced over those curbs, because he's going to know that he's got no speed now. Coming along turns 3 and 4 of the oval, heading over to the tri-oval, sometimes known as the front stretch. And this could be down to final laps, because it's about getting the tyres or keeping them in a window. If they're not going to be in a place where it works, it's no good. Ivanov's lap time again doesn't count. Raichanov, a 44.6, is 7/10 of a second off the pace. He's still stuck behind Maxim Dimitrov at this moment in time. This is critical as far as qualifying goes. Novev's up to second. He'll knock back Johan Neshev by about 7/100ths of a second. At this stage, it wasn't 67 thousandths, it was 68 thousandths, the gap between them, as they have sorted this one through. But for the moment, the pros are starting to ask, have they got anything in this one? Gabriel Ivanov, with anger on this lap here, gets a purple first sector. He's tucked in beautifully underneath right now with the car in front of him, Venti Raichanov. And this could be the all-important lap, which needs to say, I am somewhere close at the moment. He's green again in sector 3. Kiermaier, who's fourth on the back of these drivers, is a wonderful marker for them on a 44.3, and he's improving on every single section. Raichanov, yellow in sector 3. He's having to do donkey work that maybe he doesn't need to, because he is just I would say a mercenary for hire today for whichever negative delta car wants to get it done. Again, it's aggressive over the curbs by Gabriel Ivanov, but this time it's within the lines, and so this will be a charge over towards the line as we're down to a minute and a half here in qualifying for what is this race. And now you start to figure out, is this enough to get Gabriel Ivanov somewhere respectable in qualifying? He's needed this time late. He'll come to the line and cross it. 43.8, yes! Gabriel Ivanov's on top. He's done it at the best time, but Vrajilov has put 4/10ths down, and so too Christian Novev to jump up. Johan Neshev is in the midst of all of this, and he can't get the lap that he wants in. He's still fourth. Velim Vitanov is fifth. But critically, all your championship rivals are together, and Chris Vrajilov, who for the longest time this season has struggled at every single qualifying and every single race to get any form of qualifying pace in, he's pole, and he's at pole by a huge margin out there, and that is going to do his confidence a world of good in the number 3. But right now, Gabriel Ivanov's not giving up. A purple third sector, Vitanov's green in 2 sectors out there, and this could be the moment that everyone has been searching for. Ivanov critically has not got draft here compared to what he's had on previous laps. He's had to make a pass out there on circuit, so I turn around, I look at these 7 and think, what more can you do? Ivan Boromechkov will not set a time in qualifying. Neither did Dimitar Palazov or Maxim Ivanov, so they'll go to the back of their respective classes, but this needs to be faultless here from Gabriel Ivanov. Checkered flag out. Raichanov's over the anti-cut curbs, and that's going to put him out of shape. But Velin Vitanov and Johan Neshev, have they got enough to get themselves home? Neshev has only got 1 green sector. Vitanov's got 2. Gabriel Ivanov with 1 purple sector, fastest of anyone. And now the drive to the line. Can Gabriel Ivanov find 4/10 or even 200ths to jump on up even further? He can't. He invalidated. Neshev to the line can't. He invalidated. Vitanov invalidated. They all did as they come to the line. And so Chris Vrajolov, with a scare late from Christian Novev, is going to get pole position, and he's doing doughies. He did a doughy there to say, I was so happy. What a lap by him. So with that all said and done, qualifying will bring itself to a close. The best of the best in this field, giving an absolute showcase of racing prowess then with their qualifying attempts out there on track, and a field that will now stack itself up with a brilliant sense of what an hour and 10 minutes can give them in this race. It will be a 2-stop race, and it will be one where fuel concern is going to be of the biggest variety out there, as they know above everything else out there in this qualifying just how critical it will be to be in line as they go. Just getting update from Hristo Sarkazov. He's just had a power cut, and so he'll be unable to take to the starting grid here today. A real shame for Hristo, who had qualified his car up there in a very nice position. But as we just wait for the next 30 seconds to tick over for qualifying to officially write itself down in the books, because there is a tick over time in a qualifying session, the SIMGEAR GT Masters is proving to be a very importantly fought championship, and one that is going to go down to the wire in a number of different ways. So, with Interlagos on the mind, 7 days from now, it's about who wants firstly to win and who wants championship points, because it will be car 3, Chris Vrajolov, who has the control of the field on a 143.454. Christian Novev will be alongside him on the front row. It will then be the likes of Gabriel Ivanov in third, your championship leader of general, and then the GT3 Pro championship leader Johan Neshev in fourth. Velin Vitanov will be fifth, and then it's Ventsislav Raichanov's in sixth, with Leon Kiermaier and Maxim Dimitrov seventh and eighth. Eighth for Dimitrov, leader of the Pro-Ams. He's ahead of the championship leader Rosti Koshev, with Nikolai Mikov there in 10th. The leader of the AM category is Ivilo Dimitrov. He starts 11th, with Yordanin Svetinov 12th. Joris Ohms has a lot of work to do down in 13th, with Vladimir Mavrodiev alongside him, as Lazar Katsarski is 15th, and Arnie Weiss is there in 16th position. You've then got Stanimir Borisov and Roban Skelton. They're on row 9. The top 20 is rounded out by Hristo Sarkazov, who will not take to the start for this race, and critically out there, it will be Lubomir Velkov who will profiteer from that. It's then Stanislav Naidanov and Milen Milchev, with Roy Viveka and Valentin Stemenkov on row 12. Yulian Janovsky will go from 25th, as Nicholas Nikosh will be 26th. Then you're into the GT4s, where Dylan Stebler had the control of the field. Of course, you can't forget Ivan Boromechkov, who will start 27th without setting a time. Huno Horshi will be alongside him, as Kevin Aby will flank, meaning Maffei have 2 cars up there in the top 3. Norbert Hayey qualifies 4th with Kamto Chikure 5th. Then Alex Stefanov and Daniel Struchka then are going to be 6th and 7th with Radlin Ivanov 8th. 9th only for Martin Yankov with Alexander Nikolov Jr. alongside in 10th. It's then Krastin Stanchev and Dimitar Dimitrov with Maxim Ivanov and Dimitar Palauzov. Then the last cars then in this 41-car field today here from this Daytona International Speedway, a circuit where they used to race actually on the sand itself back when this circuit was first formed, and then the dedicated oval came along. It's home to the Daytona 24, the Daytona 500. It is one of the most important circuits in all of motorsport. It is the track that kickstarts the year as far as everyone goes, not just in the world of sim racing, but in real life as well. A weave up on 31 degrees of oval banking here as they will make their long drive to home. This could be a day of just buy your time. Give yourself chances to make this work, and cold tyres on the start of these races are going to be huge difference makers. For the first time in this season, it looks like Huno Horshi will not have control of this field, and Dylan Stebler now is going to be the one who will look to try and dictate how this all needs to go there. But for Chris Vrajilov, on a must-qualify day, he got what he wanted. Has he gone early on the mark then, as they get themselves set? Green flag drops, and everyone else didn't go with. Neshev and Gabriel Ivanov didn't go. I think they read the rule book. I think there's going to be penalties then for Vrajilov and Novev. If not in this race, then post-race. Look at that around the outside. Ventsislav Raichanov trying to get the clearance here, but Neshev got the jump on Gabriel Ivanov. That's critical in terms of this one. Wiggle from Ivanov. He saves it as they now work themselves in to the International Horseshoe for the first time. They found 3 or 4 wide back there as they all try and move, as cars who didn't set themselves a time or decided to start from pits get themselves ready. Now the GT4s will set off with Dylan Stebler in command, and so they will work forward with Huno Horshi then sitting himself in line, because Kevin Abey was trying to get there. Chikure in the back spins, and so he'll fall to the back of the pack. A disastrous start for Kamto, the Irishman, who will now have a lot to do to get himself back up the order. But they will look at that start and say that was the difference maker then of they didn't go. 114 around. Hey is the one who finds himself now looking in the wrong direction. We said cold tyres would make a difference, and boy are they here on the start of this race at Daytona. It is currently 2 clear of Vrajilov and Novev, who I think had jumped the start, and Johan Neshev, Gabriel Ivanov and Ventsislav Raichanov then, who are 3rd, 4th and 5th, giving what they can. Maxim Dimitrov, your leader at the moment in your Pro-Am division, is clear of Velin Vitanov and Leon Kiermaier, and Nikolai Mikov currently 2nd in that category, and Ivilo Dimitrov a long way to Lazar Katsarski as this one goes. So this is going to be about drafting and overtaking into the tri-oval. That's going to be where it's key, and we've got side-by-side everywhere. Neshev then being overtaken by Gabriel Ivanov. They can't extend as much as they can do. We're watching Milen Milchev here trying to deal with Lazar Katsarski. That one's not going to work, but they are side-by-side through the S's to the International Horseshoe. Big defense then by Neshev as that goes on, but Milchev holding himself steady. They'll fall themselves into line just behind that. Vitanov and Dimitrov going at it, and then in the background, Ivilo Dimitrov fighting hard with Nikolai Mikov and Rosti Koshev, who have both worked their way through, but Ivilo, I think, is going to have to give up. Oi! Down the inside, West Horseshoe searching. That's a big, bold look from a very sketchy Gabriel Ivanov. He's got a very slippery car underneath him, and he is just fighting on the limits of grip to try and get these moves done. The 2 biggest championship contenders at the moment giving each other what for at the moment, as Arnie Weiss has run into troubles now, and he's spun coming out onto the oval banking as he will back it into the wall. That's going to knock off his rear spoiler, and Arnie Weiss is going to be in a world of hurt here today as they look to go forward. Raichanov, they're not wanting to put himself too much into this one, but they're 3 seconds away, and Neshev here is a little slow through the through the Le Mans chicane, and now is going to have to be up to speed here to deal with Gabriel Ivanov, and I wonder how much of a penalty is going to be given then to Vrazilov and Novev as they go forward with it. It looks like Milan Milchev is also in trouble out there as they will now take that slipstream, and it's attack or be attacked here, and there they go. There goes one, there goes two. Raichanov's going to push Gabriel Ivanov by, and that's the difference that Johan Neshev doesn't want. Gets the clearance on the brakes as they go through. Neshev grabs the grass on the inside. That could have been deadly, and he'll get back down the inside of Raichanov here as those two of Vrazilov and Novev break away, and they get the clearance just across the nose. Venti going to the outside now. It brings Velin Vitanov to the party, who thinks about it, and he could really do with getting by all three of these drivers if he possibly can, and noticing just how important the early stages of this race are going to be. So, is this going to be one of those where you start thinking, right, how am I going to settle down in, find my rhythm, find my pace? As you got now on the back of this, Maxim Dimitrov, Leon Kiermaier is there. So too trying to stay with Koshev, Mikov, and also Dimitrov as far as this race is setting its stall out. So this is going to be an all-important battle, and so you look around and say, what can you do? Unfortunately, I don't have permission to read the rules as far as this goes, so I'm going to have to scroll back through some DMs here in order to read the rule book out there and see exactly where people are going to be then in this race, and what the rule says actually out there on where everyone is eyeing up this as they go. So for the SimGear GT Masters, I've just had the ability now to have a little look at the rule book, and I am wondering how the start is going to go. So starting procedure, so they aren't allowed to jump before the green, and so I think there is a case that the they can get a penalty protest filed on them out there at this stage. So that's going to be troublesome. Now we got takers down into the lane for the first time, and it's an early stop then for Joris Ohms, who's trying to do something a little bit different out there overall. So that's going to be a very important run that is needed. Now, I don't think it's going to do anything compared to the driver's license points, but as far as they are looking here, they are hoping that it's not going to run into any time penalties as far as this one goes for their race. And there goes a little search to the inside. Velin Vitanov is getting a little bit antsy here as Neshev, who has lost the place to Ventsislav Raichanov, now is starting to find out what's difficult for them and how much work is needing to be done. Over in GT4, Dylan Stebler is happy with his lead, but right now it's about who's moving up, and it's Daniel Struchka, who is the hot knife through butter in GT4 at the moment. He's just moved up to second. Horsey looks like he's fuel saving here, so Alex Stefanov and Kevin Abe are there. Martin Yankov is up to 6th place. He's staying with this group, but only just, and he needs to stay within that second. You can see him right in the back of shot there. He's got to really hold on. He's got his teammate Alex Stefanov as the one he's got to chase. Kevin Abe is the one who's going to have to defend this one into the West Horseshoe, which is the most difficult corner on this circuit, in my opinion. And he just about navigates through that without too many troubles. There you can see the manufacturers on the left-hand side, as well as the number of stops that have been taken in this field. And Joris Ohms has been down for an incredibly long time in the pit, and that might just right here in this race for Joris the GT3 Pro-Am Rally 3 Championship, because he needed points, he needed a result. And I think as far as he was looking out there in this one, he was trying to stay out of trouble at every single stage as he went through. And this one just has not worked. And I think it's gone wrong for Joris Ohms, because he's actually had contact with a sliding Jordan Svetanov. It's damaged the front suspension then for Joris. And really, there's not much that Joris can do about it. That's his race. And Jordan is actually still walking wounded with damage to the front right. Taking a look then here as we go with Alex Stefanov. Still hoping for his run here against Kevin Abe. That could give him everything that he wants and then some. And for the moment, he's not going to get a chance to dive it down in at turn 1. Stebler is controlling this field over Struchka and Horsey actually very nicely. 6 at the front, doing a great job here in GT4. 1.9 now the gap between Vrajilov and Novev at the front of the field, with Gabriel Ivanov third, and he's needing as much help as he can get at the moment in that third position. He's ahead of all his rivals, and that's all he'll worry about. But obviously, if you can turn that into 70 points with any time penalty there for jumping the start from Vrajilov and Novev, they will take that absolutely all day, and twice on Sunday. It was clear they jumped the green, and I know that there will be drivers who will look to protest that at the end of the race. On the brakes then they go, into the left-hander then of turn 1, and now working through the S's, over towards turn 4 in the International Horseshoe. No real looks then between them at the moment, but they'll be happy with the work that they're doing. Lazar Katsarski in a bit of a scrap right now. He's second in the AMS, and he's having to fight for points here as Roban Skelton has gone through with Vladimir Mavrodiev. He'll soon have Stanislav Naidenov for company, who's about 2 seconds back. Stanimir Borisov, who's 6th, is really seeing drivers like Ivaylo Dimitrov vault up the order and could be a challenger at Interlagos for the championship. So that in play, Raitanov right up underneath. Then at the back of the likes then of those in the front, I would look around and say that it is going to be a lot. The Madness team, 1 and 2 for Christian Novev. And of course, the likes of Chris Vrajilov. They coordinated that start absolutely beautifully, but the Madness team are 180 points back in the team's championship. They'd have to pull back 50 points on negative delta by iLiveries, and they currently would do that, but pending on the penalties, that could be different. Horsey sat down, now trying to save fuel behind the lumbering GT4 Mustang of Daniel Struchka, and at least right now, happy to hold that position in the opening 10 minutes. Over to Leon Kiermaier then, who is 8th overall at this moment, fighting with the GT3 Pro-Am leader, Maxim Dimitrov, who is trying to eye up a victory. Porsches are very good around this circuit, and so too are Lamborghinis, but there aren't really any Lamborghinis in this field. Everyone has gone the Porsche route, or the Aston Martin, or the Mustang, but the Porsche does shine around this place, and Maxim Dimitrov is proving it at the moment compared to the Aston Martin of Leon Kiermaier as they work hard through the West Horseshoe. Missed apex there by Maxim. He's being put under pressure by the German of Leon Kiermaier, and Kiermaier wants to try and stay with that group that has now broken down the road of Vitanov, Neshev, Raitanov and Ivanov. So ultimately, with Maxim Dimitrov holding his station well, it's not a lot you can do. It's draft dependent. Once you're outside of a second and a half, kiss goodbye to any draft in the back pocket. Gabriel Ivanov, for example, trying to hunt down. Now, this was the start for Kamto Chikure for Muffy Racing. He was there on the inside, and it was Alex Stefanov who chucked it down the line. That forced it 3 wide needed, and then Chikure, who's on the outside. It's a case, and they all rolled over, and one fell out, and the one was Kamto Chikure, who was ultimately the little one in the bed who said, well, I'm the one who's going to roll over. Arnie Weiss, this was the issue. On the brakes, down the inside, Yekov Rally School 41. That's Yulian Janovsky there, who jumped down the inside and caused the contact. So that's going to be not looked on too nicely there with Arnie Weiss. And that's Milen Milchev, who got himself busy then. Look at that over the curbs. Wow. Save then for both of them. The 35 also getting caught out in that. That's Ivan Boromechkov. That's why both of them had dropped down the order. And Boromechkov, he took his hit and then up over the curb. And look at that. Both pivoting on the inside. Lucky they both didn't actually come back up onto circuit at that moment in time, as we are now starting to hit the lapping process here in this field for GT4. Oh, is there afters? Oh, there's afters. There's afters here, and Milen Milchev up into the wall. That will take a very dim view, and they very nearly clobber I believe Arnie Weiss in that as well. So that will really not do him any favors. This was Ion Svetanov spin, half spin, then going through the West Horseshoe. And then Joris Ohms, bang. And that pretty much writes the GT3 Pro-Am Championship there. Because at the moment, Rosti Koshev in second would score 63 championship points, and no one's going to be able to pull that back. Milan Milchev having another spin out there. As we note, Maxim Dimitrov is 93 points back. He wouldn't be able to claw enough points back to take this one to Interlagos. Back with Leon Kiermaier then in the lapping field as they look to try and work away around the likes of Dimitar Dimitrov. Side by side now with Maxim. A great pick being used, and now how's the top speed of the Porsche in line with the Aston Martin? Koshev has caught this one back, and this would be for GT3 Pro-Am race lead as they now look to try and figure out, can I get enough of a run to go and make it work? No is the answer, and so back onto the brakes you go. Kiermaier holding the inside quite firmly. The outside line just struggling for grip there through the middle of the corner as Maxim Dimitrov still has a tiny bit of overlap heading towards the International Horseshoe. Now it's covered and he can't do anything on the brakes. So now as he works for a line to the inside, it's not going to be there. They've got more traffic on the exit and Koshev has now brought himself back. Whoa, where are you going? Car going backwards, car getting disqualified by the looks of it there. That would have been Dimitar Dimitrov, who would have had a big moment spin, would have gone straight across the circuit, tried to gather it back, and he's back on circuit now, but that was a huge off there through the S's for him. You can see this here. Dimitar Dimitrov, I think he's done it all on his own. He's caught the inside of the curb. You can see he's opened up onto two tyres, and the car has just had a massive influx of grip, and he's lucky he's not actually come back across the circuit there and hit that next stage. Look, he's done well to keep it off of the track, rejoining on the other side where he would have found drivers like Venceslav Rajchanov and Gabriel Ivanov, and traffic's going to do no favours for Gabriel Ivanov out of the exit here of this chicane as we're looking from the back of Leon Kiermaier because they haven't had any help with Krastin Stanchev. This is now going to open up a chance here for Johan Neshev to get a run. They've dropped time now. 1.7 is the difference, and Valentin Stemenkov is out then as he finds himself damaged beyond repair then in this race and towed back into pit lane. Gabriel Ivanov now is eyeing up his chance and saying, look, I've got to try and just break away. He's done enough, but now they've got to get by two more of Maxim Ivanov, of Radlen Ivanov. So two Ivanovs to get by the third of Gabriel. And so with Maxim dispatched of, they will now look to Radlen, and they will not get through easily. Long way around. It's going to have to be on the exit. Don't try and force too wide as you head to the kink. You've got to get the clearance here, followed through by all three nicely as they now try and work their progress through. They've dropped Velin Vitanov through the traffic. That's big in terms of what they're hoping for in this run, because Velin needs the points, and this is why you need a good start to your season, because everyone else will turn around and say, well, you've not quite done enough out there. Joris Ohms, by the way, is still circulating, but is critically right down the order. So this one could be not enough points to go and score. We will get confirmation of that next week, but I'd look down that order and I would worry right now if I was Joris Ohms and how many points I'm going to be scoring in the Pro-Am Championship. So there's the focus down on into the chicane. They've got the leading five that they've got to deal with, because Martin Yankov has been dispatched from the main group again. And this is the trouble with going with a car you're comfortable with compared to a car that's quick. And Martin Yankov can't find quick anymore. And this is so telling with what they're trying to do. Venceslav Rajchanov, the pushing mate at the moment of Gabriel Ivanov, as they now try and get the clearance. Novev trying to slide his way through. Dylan Stebler is saying, oh, I don't want to get everyone through. And Novev only just gets the clearance. Gabriel trying to lunge himself down the inside of Kevin Aby's going to do no favours. There's now a battle on for the GT4 lead. This is what was looking for Daniel Struchka, who goes to the outside of Dylan Stebler for the race lead. Gabriel Ivanov's going to chuck one down the inside, then a Hunor Horshi try and get out to the way. Remember, GT4 are just as welcome to battle as they go. This is where the risk's going to take place, because you don't want to let all the traffic through at the kink, and there's just enough clearance there for the likes of Johan Neshev to get through as they now head to the West Horseshoe. Lines are covered off everywhere you go. Similar in terms of their grip. It's about how they carry the speed through the middle of the corner and off the exit. Good teamwork from both categories to get through. Neshev having a little look to the inside is not going to get there. Velenvitinov is going to be stuck in the middle of this here, and he can't get drive off the exit. And Raichanov here on the outside is going to drop the place here. Johan Neshev is up to 4th, but they have lost 1.1 seconds here to Gabriel Ivanov, who will now be given license to chase Christianov, Evan Chris Vrajolov, as and when they got the jump and the get-go notice out there in this race. So a good scary bit of battling there, but it's still not over, because Alex Stefanov wants a little piece of this here, and this would be to move up to 4th place. And you wonder who's been saving the fuel, who's been clever in this one. I keep my eyes on Kevin Abbey, who I think has been driving very under the radar in the opening 20 minutes of this race. And lest we forget that we are probably about 10 minutes away from that pit stop window truly opening, or maybe even 7 or 8, because this is the sort of circuit that burns through your fuel more than others, because you're spending more than 70% of your time at full throttle around here. So that will make a huge difference in the fuel numbers. So we always talk about it, and Venti is up against it again with Johan Neshev. Again, he can't get through, and into the pits comes Stanislav Naidenov to make his first stop of the race. So Naidenov then is going to run through the boxes, hit his marks, and make his first stop then that tries to get him home and dry. Raichanov then staring it down as Abbey has now lost the place out to the likes of Alex Stefanov, who's now 4th in class, but he's got to try and stay with Hunor Horshi here, the all-conquering, all-powerful championship leader of GT4. Through goes the GT3 AM leader then of Ivailo Dimitrov, who now tries to just work himself steadily in 10th. He's got a 5-place lead over Lazar Katsarski, and he will look to use it any which way he can out there at this point. Just looking down the order with Koshev in 2nd, and it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. It's 12th place at the moment for Joris Ooms. Ooms at the moment, if he were to finish this one, 12th scores 39 points compared to 63. 49.59, you know, that's 24 points. And so 24 points in the championship. By comparison, that would mean the gap would be 48, and he'd have to rely on a retirement from Rosti Koshev in order to take the GT3 Pro-Am Rally 3 standings. It would go to Interlagos, but he crashed in. Bang! Into the wall, and that one's going to hurt Krastin Stanchev there. You don't like seeing it at the Le Mans chicane, but he found himself wrong place, wrong time. Let's take another look at this then. Down he lost it even on entry there, as the back just stepped away over the anti-cut curbs, trying to fight it back, but he gets a massive rotation then of counter grip that comes through. The tank slapper hits and into the tyres, critically only rear and side, and that's why Chikure had overlap on the inside, but not enough to say you're side-by-side there. So Krastin Stanchev takes off-track racing the name by heart there with an incident like that, and that is going to put a lot of notice in as Yordanin Svetanov comes in for a stop. Raichanov under pressure again because he got through once more on Johan Neshev, and he's being a perfect nuisance for this group to allow Gabriel Ivanov to break away. Now, while Gabriel Ivanov is looking for as many points as possible, we'll take a look at Mila Milchev here, another one of the off-track cars, this time GT3 spec. I think this one's going to be on the exit. Oh, yeah, back steps away as he tries to plant the throttle down, and that one's going to go up into the safer barrier. Bang! And no movement as they go forward with it. Raichanov now to the outside into the Le Mans chicane, trying to work a way through here on Johan Neshev, and at least for the moment, Velenvitinov watches and waits. What a run here. Koshev with a slowdown penalty. He'll have to serve that. And now Velenvitinov will maybe eye up to push his teammate along, and that will get them both clear and they will both get them the move. So well played then from the pair of them. The team gained past Raichanov, but they're already 2 seconds adrift of Gabriel Ivanov here, who he himself 3 away of Novev, 4 seconds clear of Chris Vrazilov. Back to Stanimir Borisov here, who is trying to run up the order. He's down 3, is the championship leader in GT3 AM at the moment in terms of places, but critically, he is 3rd in class, which is enough to stave off the threat of Ivaylo Dimitrov, who's 42 points back. If he were to drop a couple places, it's huge, but he's diving down the lane at the moment, and he's there with Arnie Weiss, who is without the rear spoiler down there in the pit. So Weiss has got a very, very loose rear of his car, and he is going to be hoping that he's got no troubles at all. Stanimir Borisov hits his marks. He's slow in because he missed it on the front rather than at the rear. Back up the order. We are going to wander because I'm just taking a look here. Kevin Aby's actually dropped a lot of time over the last few laps or so. I'm just trying to see. There are some tracks down there over at the West Horseshoe, so someone's had an off over at that section as the likes of those who have gone into the pits now making their stops, and you get a little look there. 0.1 seconds for Yulian Janowski. I wouldn't have called that a big pit stop then, or one that will count in terms of the long haul of it. But for the moment, your championship protagonists are there together, and Vitanov and Neshev know that it's limitation. If you want to be GT3 Pro Champion, Johan Neshev's going about it the right way. He's only dropping 1 position right now to Gabriel Ivanov. It's only going to be 3 points that he's going to be a little bit short on at this moment in time. It's the difference between being 4th and 5th as far as this race will go. And as far as you look at in terms of how the points score, 4th and 5th is 54 plays 51. So that one will certainly play a good factor there. It's only 3, but if, of course, there are penalties for Vrazilov and Novev, that could be 5 points of a gap. It could be 7 points of a gap. It could be a look at who's got fastest lap as well. That extra bonus point is going to start totting up here, and when you've only got a 14-point gap, every point is going to matter between now and the end. Focus on Alex Stefanov then. He's got one of the Mark Speed cars then directly behind him as Kevin Aby is coming for his first stop, and so too Dylan Stebler, which is Maffei on cue. Now you're starting to think, okay, we're firmly in this pit window. When do we go in? And Alex Stefanov, who has stayed out to the credit of the 1-2-1, has just seen Roy Viveka go by. We'll now see Joris Ooms, the other Mark Speed car, go by, as in comes Chris Vrazilov. It's no doubt at the moment the team's championship is going the way of the iLiveries negative Delta team. And following, the only one staying out is Velin Vitanov. Everyone else has been able to get that one only to 15 laps of a stint. So Gabriel Ivanov in, and so too then Vrazilov and Novev and Neshev, as they all look to hit their marks and hit them good. And is that good enough from Gabriel Ivanov? No, he's missed it! Gabriel Ivanov's missed his box, and he was so slow to recover back. I thought he was going to be very close to his marks, and so now Neshev's been given an opportunity. Vrazilov's already gone. There goes Christian Novev. Gabriel Ivanov does get the clearance. It's a long stop. It's a long stop for Johan Neshev. It's a hugely long stop for Johan Neshev, and now he gets himself off and away with Venceslav Raichanov. I wonder whether there were some underfuels then in that stop to get it sorted. There are penalties for Stemenkov and for Radlen Ivanov, who I think have been caught speeding on pit exit or something of that ilk, or speeding on entry. So they've got penalties that they will need to serve. Oh my, there was a lot going on in that first pit stop, and that will play a difference maker here. And difference is there, just 12 seconds for Gabriel Ivanov compared to the 22 of Johan Neshev. He'll have 10 seconds to play back. It will not be speeding for Neshev. It's just a long stop. And so now he will just try and pay the Pied Piper back later on in this race. Ivanov going for track position. Watch out for Neshev's last stop. Velin Vitanov is your leader And I would also keep an eye out on who's got that fastest lap of the race. You would expect it to be Chris Vrajalov, who would be holding that distinctive marker at this moment in time. His best is a 43.8 here in this one. Velim Vitanov a 43.9 as he trundles down the lane. Christian Novev a 44.4 and Gabriel Ivanov a 44 flat. So you are sensing here that it is in the hands of taking all the points away, Chris Vrajalov, as we focus on Velim Vitanov here, just waiting then for his stop, and it's a long one, 21, 22, yes, 22.1, and the tank full, and off and away he goes, and looking to try and jump Johan Neshev here in this stop, and Neshev is only just making his way through towards turn one now, so I think Neshev's been leapfrogged here by Velim Vitanov. There was a spin actually on pit exit, which might be the reason why Ivanov's got the penalty and Stamenkov's got the penalty. It would be for an unsafe pit exit there, but Velim Vitanov critically ahead of Johan Neshev, ahead of Venti Raishanov, and now settle down in. Ivilo Dimitrov then from the lead of GT3 AM is coming in and making his first stop, still waiting on the likes of Stanislav Naidenov then to make their stops in. And oh, no rear wing. Oh, that's not what the doctor ordered. No rear wing. Needed a rear wing put on. They've got a spare one there ready for him. Oh, dear. That was not planned there by Ivilo Dimitrov. He's got the clearance needed to exit pit lane with the damage that was there, but I don't think that was the way they needed that one to go. Speaking of things GT4-wise, first round of stops, Stebler's 1.2 clear now here over Daniel Struchka. So he's got the gap. Oi, Bodarechkov with a big slide. And there is Yulian Janovsky, who is in 10th at this moment, and he's driven pretty well at the moment, but he will also note as far as this race goes that he did have the contact with Arnie Weiss, and he might be looking at a potential protest that will come down through the books. So those open post race, so there'll be no penalties out there for those who stand with it at this stage. But Dylan Stebler is clear at this point in time by 1.6, and Struchka and Horsey are going to have to work together if they're going to continue the VGTR dominance here in this race. There is not much they can do here about this one. All they can do is continue to find the points then on the likes of Martin Yankov, which has been the way that they have been scoring their margin over the course of racing. Traffic has generally played really well. A lot of damage there on the front of Krastin Stanchev's car, no shock. But he's also got Dimitar Palazov directly in front. So this would be a battle for position between the two teammates who are out there. Of course, we saw what happened. And look at the desperation there by Gabriel Ivanov. He is just trying to run as hard as he can by everyone in the Bulgarian colours. And he knows 2 firsts, 2 fourths. He's got the championship lead overall, but he knows he wants to get back those points in the GT3 Pro Championship and be not only just the overall champion, but the champion of his class as well, which is a very weird position to be in for a driver to not have both in mind. The pro battle then at the moment is 48 points at the top, but Joris Ohms has just picked up a point or two. He's actually picked up 2 points by passing Milen Milchev out there, so he's getting it a little bit easier. But remember, it'll be 7 the other way if Rosti Koshev can get by Maxim Dimitrov here. So Maxim, who started 8th, Rosti Koshev, who started 9th. They are 8th and 9th and fighting for 8th and 9th. And that pretty much tells you what you need to know. Of the top 9, the only 2 drivers to change places are the teammates, Vitanov and Neshev, 4th and 5th, respectively for them. And critically as well, keep this in mind, plus 15 for Yuli Janovsky, as he has gone from 25th up to 10th. We're with Alex Stefanov at this moment in time, and Alex here is going to be realizing that they are very quick around him, and the recovering car there of Ivilo Dimitrov going by. Back to Koshev here at 0.4 of a second. through the International Horseshoe just after that point of half an hour. Taking a look then, heading over towards that West Horseshoe and Runaway. Stefanov has got himself a run here to put some pressure on Hunor Horseshoe for his teammate Martin Yankov, and he goes diving to the outside, trying to work this one in any way he can around. A big fan of Love Life. Here is Hunor Horseshoe, and he needs to hold every single place that he can, knowing that he's got those championship points. Struchka has now got the ability to run away here, and that's what Hunor was saying. I really don't like this circuit. It's not my cup of tea. I think there will be drivers who will challenge and do better, and he's dropped draft for the first time in this race. When you've got a bogey track, you're not judged here today in terms of your championship lead on how good you're doing. You're judged on the days like today where it's not quite going the way you want it to. You're not getting everything you want out of the car and the placement and the result that is there and sat and waiting. I think this is a very important note to keep in mind, that the likes of Hunor Horseshoe here is settling in with a wonderful, wonderful bit of driving right now. And you've also still got Stanchev and Palauzov. They have actually changed places here off track, so that one has made a difference as far as this goes. But keep an eye on that gap between Ivanov and Neshev, because it's 10 seconds that you got to try and hold back. The gap is currently 8.5 seconds, so Johan Neshev is in a prime place to leapfrog Gabriel Ivanov and to keep these drivers right now in control of their destiny, knowing that Novev and Vrajilov may take penalty, but it depends how much they get for the result that they have. So if they are able to jump away and get that all nicely sorted, they're going to be quite happy. Now, they got slow GT3 traffic there as they went through the S's. That would have been Nikos as they had to try and work a way around. Stanislav Naidenov, by the way, now your leader in GT3 AM, and he is the nearest direct challenger to Stanimir Borisov, is Stanislav Naidenov. But ultimately, in the GT3 AM standings, it's first place third at the moment. So as far as that one sits, he'd only take 12 points away. And 12 points would pull the gap down to 20. He would still need more help over at Interlagos. It's not insurmountable. Radlin Ivanov officially has been disqualified from the race for failure to serve a drive-through penalty. And by that mark, Radlin Ivanov is out here in the car that's 32nd, and now will be right down to the bottom, and everybody up one more place in this field. So now Kamto Chikure trying to hold himself then in, I would say, range with Norbert Hey, really struggling to find that. It has really gapped out, actually. I'm surprised at how much it's gapped out. We talk about this being a slipstream track, but no one's really been able to hold a station and give themselves everything they can at this point. I will note Christian Novev is starting to be closed in here by Gabriel Ivanov. That gap 2 seconds. But Alex Stefanov here, closest on the back of Hunor Horseshoe, and they've let Struchka go. And Struchka, critically, is trying so hard to stay with Dylan Stebler. In fact, he's reading him in the Mustang. So that's big for Daniel Struchka, who wants his first win of the season. So too with Dylan Stebler. He desperately would want to try and get that. Here's Stefanov, outside line searching. And he will not get that run at turn one at just over the halfway stage of the race. He will now hope that this race will pivot in a direction that will get everything and more out there as they go. So that could be everything more than some that is needed. But right now, Christian Novev, looking at that gap, 1.3 seconds, he's going to need to get by, and it's Martin Yankov he will need the clearance of first and foremost here in this one. He does. And so now over to Jordan Svetinov we go, because he's eyeing up Stanislav Naidanov here for a place. It would be 413th. And remember, that panel beat has been out for Svetinov, and he's not really got that pulled back as far as he would want to there on that front right. You can see that damage. Big flash of the lights from Stanislav here in the play. Oh my, that's going to scare everyone. Palauzov has completely missed his braking zone. He was looking in his mirror, and he's gone straight into the wall and straight out the race. Wow, you don't often see that one too often. He's completely missed his braking point, looking at the light flash behind. Bang. That's one way to get out of the way of lap traffic, has to be said. Big crash, and Palauzov out. And so there's more to try and uncork and understand. Naidanov still holding himself steady now. It's gone red, the mark between him and Chris Radulov. That indicates he's more than half a lap behind the leader now, is Stanislav Naidanov. So he has got a long way to this one, and he could be staring down the barrel of being a lap down at the end of this race. Could the driver in 13th, such is the way that this field has been spreading out over the course of this run. Neshev here, 8/10 off the back of Velim Vitanov. He's desperately trying to save fuel. Vitanov's trying to break away. 144.4s. They are just about clawing in Gabriel Ivanov. That's what they need. They got 10 seconds of advantage. They could come out 3 seconds in front as far as they go, but they got to play the traffic nicely. And because it is so spread out, this is almost the dream scenario for GT3 and GT4. You just get a couple cars here, a couple cars there going by, instead of the slews and the trains of 3 cars, 4 cars, 5 cars, 7 cars, 10 cars that want to go jumping through you at any given time at the moment. This is almost a dream scenario, and one that can lull many a driver actually into a false sense of security. We tick over with just under half an hour to go here in this race, and now a Jordan in is going to still hope that he's got enough, but how much is that damage going to be hurting him in his Mustang on the straight line speed? Because if he can't get the run on what is normally a traditionally slippery Porsche in front, I don't think there's much hope that Jordan Svetinov's going to get through. You've also got Mavrodiev and Bodomechkov, 15th and 16th overall. They're scrapping for position 2, as Maxim Dimitrov has actually given Rostikoshev a huge gap away as far as this one goes. But Jordan Svetinov here, I think, is just going to be a little bit too far back. And in comes Gabriel Ivanov for that final stop of the race. At half an hour to go, he realizes, I did my short fill, I now need my long fill to get me home and over the line. This is where he pays it back. Expect this to be a long stop. He knows how important this is. Out of the pits then, it's Gabriel Ivanov, and he gets up to speed. So he's done everything that he's needed to in that stop. He will now look and say, I've got myself a gap, and he'll be eyeing up the fact that he has done a 22.3 second stop. He knows that that gap that he needs is about 3 seconds to that guy, Johan Neshev. He doesn't want to start giving him points for the overall. That's the one that he's having to defend. He'd love to chase down some points to give himself more buffer when it comes to the championship at the end of this season in GT3 overall. He's behind on that because, of course, you drop less places for your points finish then as you have the troubles out there. But the two teammates here, one in an AMG Mercedes, the other one in the Ford Mustang, They're looking at this and going, it's still a really great position. First and foremost, let's secure the team's championship. Are we doing that at the moment? Yes, and astoundingly so, will be the mark that they're looking at. Ivan Boromechkov here in 16th position is going to be eyeing this one up and saying, I think I've got it. Slow down for Vladimir Mavrodiev. That one, not what the doctor would have ordered through the corner. And so there you get the sense of how easily you can get that gap. You have to take big slowdowns now at that corner with the updates that iRacing has made. You can't take the big, long, wide line into turn one, for example. That will give you a slowdown penalty. So everyone plays in between the lines now at turn one. And now with the anti-cut curbs and the lack of grass there at the chicane, that's doing a lot more. Horsey is still being harassed at this moment, but suddenly this group is now not one, it's four. And Stebler, give him credit, hasn't been able to pull away, but he's tried his best in order to make that happen. Hunor Horsey and Daniel Struchka have done brilliantly to keep themselves in range of each other. They will look at Alex Stefanov and say, that's a little unwanted for what we want, but now it just means we've got to be a bit more choice. And you're trying to play this one over towards the line. They know they've got Interlagos to wait for in 7 days and try and hold that championship, but Hunor Horsey knows that his third place compared to currently the 6th place of Martin Yankov is going to really help in championship effort. Third place, 6th in terms of points. That would be a gain of 9, and 9 points would go a huge distance to safety. Raichanov now in the pits with Christian Novev. So those two depart for their final stop. Novev, I think, another driver who needs a long stop here. We'll see where Gabriel Ivanov is by comparison, because that was the nearest direct challenger to the driver in 2nd position. So where can you find that ability to get the leapfrog? Ivanov is running himself along the main thoroughfare right now. Off goes Venceslav Raichanov then to run away, and Gabriel Ivanov, I think, is not going to get by Christian Novev. I think he will just about get by Venceslav Raichanov, and not by much. So there'll be about 2 seconds in that, and it'll be about 2 seconds by Novev at this stage, but it'll be close. But remember, Novev's on cold tyres. He's got to get those up to temperature. So too has Venceslav Raichanov. That's the other saving grace, that cold tyres are a big factor in the opening couple of laps of the iRacing tyre model that is presented out there. We've got side-by-side now for GT4 Lee, as Struchka very nearly gets the clearance then to attack Dylan Stebler. He'll instead push him in his Mustang compared to the Porsche Cayman along here towards the Le Mans chicane. They're not having help there on the right-hand side. They're having to leave room for Leon Kiermaier. Into line with Kiermaier they go. It's defensive from Stebler in through the corner. He'll have to sacrifice mid-speed here to allow Daniel Struchka to run off the exit. And Hunor Horsey's got a good run on this as well. Vrajilov is in. He's dominated the race from the front of this field, and you could argue how he got there, but to hold it is just as impressive. So, can this move be done at a time for VGTR? They've been waiting to line this up on Maffei. Oh, Stebler's trying to lean out and say, no, I'm not going to let you have it all your own way. Get up higher onto the banking. It's only 17 degrees up here as you go through the tri-oval, and Stebler wants to be deeper on the brakes here compared to Danny Struchka, and he's going to get it, but he's overcooked it. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're at the back, and suddenly VGTR are 1-2. Vrajilov already is leaving pit lane, and so for Chris Vrajilov here, he will now be up to speed. He'll turn up just in front of Yulian Janovsky, and he'll have a big lead over Christian Novev, who's with Roban Skelton, and Gabriel Ivanov, who's trying to hunt this chase. And I would argue if Johan Neshev and also Velit Vitanov are keeping the pace up that they want to, they could be in this race eyeing up 2nd overall here in this one, and 3rd, and those two would gain gap, and consistently good gap out there over the likes of Gabriel Ivanov as it goes. Naidanov and Borisov making their final stops then in GT3 AM at the moment. Koshev out there because we've already had the pit stop from Maxim Dimitrov for Veka now as well, losing out of place. Roban Skelton still hoping that his hunt is on. The teammate, of course, to Rosti Koshev, who is 4th overall in the general standings. And he's trying to stay with not Martin Yankov, but Christian Novev, the car in front that's made an extra stop compared to him at this moment. So that is a critical car in between them. But if he can't hold on, it's also a giddy-up car for Gabriel Ivanov to try and hunt and give chase at this phase of racing action. So there is still a lot, an absolute ton of a lot that can be done as you're leading to. Right now, they've been in lockstep as teammates, and I find it interesting. One wants lights on, the other doesn't. It is 20 past 2 in the afternoon in sim time, so lights won't actually do anything for Johan Neshev at this moment, but it does give you a bit of visibility out there. Skelton, outside line, compared to, wow, to Christian Novev. Not often that you see that, and he immediately rolls out of it and drops half a second of Jordan Svetanov down in the lane. Hunor Horshi, slow stop compared to Struchka. So Daniel Struchka has got an absolute runaway in that stop, and that is big. And Maxim Ivanov then is going to pick up a black flag then as he goes through. So he's been caught speeding onto the lane. But what a jump by Daniel Struchka. Horshi, I don't think's got anything, as you all know that the Horshi has in fact bolted from the stable, and it is the Mustanger Daniel Struchka that's done that. Brilliant stuff. And a couple seconds down the road, he's been getting better and better and better as Daniel Struchka over the weeks, but he still has to deal with these two, Alex Stefanov and, of course, the Porsche there, or Dylan Stebler, who's trying to recover himself back into range in GT4. This is all or nothing stuff between these two drivers, and they're hoping that their slightly longer run in GT4 spec is giving them what they need with just 20 minutes to go here in this race. Alex Stefanov will look at the group in front of Arnie Weiss and Yulian Janovsky. I can't really take that much slipstream from it, but Stefanov isn't getting as much of a run, so I'm not too concerned about that. There's Ivilo Dimitrov, who is now in 3rd in class at the moment, because he had to take the extra stop, mind you. Lyubomir Velkov and Lazar Katsarski there, 1 in, 1 out in GT4. So Stebler does make the stop, but again, it will be Alex Stefanov who doesn't. Now to your leading duo, Johan Neshev. At what point are they looking at this as we're playing the game right now for big points, and the other one, as Nicholas Nikos actually gets a speeding penalty onto the lane? What point are they playing the team game, and what point are they playing the GT3 Pro and GT3 General game out there? Martin Yankov then is going to be happy with that run as they go through there, as they now work this one out. Stebler's got to eye up Daniel Struchka on pit exit here. He's now running through. Where's Struchka? Coming over the line now. Clearance is there for Danny Struchka. He's past Dylan Stebler. Hunor Horshi. Is he going to be clear? Yes, he'll be clear as well. It's going to be close, but remember, you're stuck on the lane here at pit speed limiter, Dylan. So that's going to hurt. Daniel Struchka's gone, and so too is Hunor Horshi. Now, Alex Stefanov's going to have a shorter stop compared with everyone else. But what's he going to do about this at the moment? We are right in the thralls of the final stages of this race, with a couple of final pit stops still yet to change the direction here as we focus with your leaders. Johan Neshev, what do you have to deal with? This is getting a little bit busy. And Venceslav Raichanov then in flying formation with Gabriel Ivanov. He's run him down, caught him, passed him, and now surely Gabriel Ivanov will try and fuel save off of him at this stage of the race. I gave you a bit early, now help me chase, because they are dropping that time compared to Novev and even to Roban Skelton at this stage of this one. Boromechkov and Mavrodiev in for their final stops of the race. Lazar Kaczarski currently your leader in AM, but still due a pit stop at this stage as they both hit their marks and now look to try and make something of this one. There is Neshev, still in second, still waiting, but remember, they will not need as much of a stop as their rivals have made, because they've all come in. Kiermaier still waiting for his stop, and Koshev as far as they go. Vrajilov's last stop was 21.5 seconds. Took the short fuel at the middle stint of this race. I think that Vrajilov's a little too far away. Is this one in, one out? It is, and it's Johan Neshev who's going to be first in. Now they've got to get it slowed down to 88 kilometers an hour, and they managed that. Naidenov with a slowdown penalty, he gets that served. But now as this stop goes through, where is he compared to Gabriel Ivanov? Ivanov right now is working his way in towards the Le Mans chicane with Venceslav Raichanov in front. Kiermaier and Koshev will also jump in. Janovsky has a big slowdown penalty, and he's just gone around over at that section of road they've gone through. That was the smoke that they saw. So Janovsky with a big moment in front of the leaders. Kiermaier still stuck in his station at the moment. Where is Neshev? He's gone! Johan Neshev is gone! G-O-N-E gone! And Chris Vrasilov is there in second. And I don't think Christian Nova's going to have anything for it. They have rumped it on strategy. Johan Neshev here is going to be piling on the pressure in this championship now for Gabriel Ivanov in overall. This one is going to be as hard fought as it gets in 7 days' time, because that was a masterstroke. And in fact, if they can keep it in range of Chris Vrasilov, they have half a chance of arguing that we can have the race win in the full 70 points. Then if it could be called as a time penalty for the jump start. So, figure it out. I will note that Maxim Dimitrov has regained control of the AM lead, but not by much. They're side by side. This is Janovsky's moment, and I will just keep an eye out on it. The back stepped out in the middle of the court. Oh, huge error as he went over the top and slid about. Koshev really having to fight hard now with Maxim Dimitrov for the GT3 Pro-Am lead, as in comes Velin Vitanov, and you'd expect him to be out right around Johan Neshev here in this field to say, look, I am also scrapping for this championship, and I will give it everything that I've got. He's the last car to come in the lane and make it happen. There is Chris Vrasilov. We expect him to retain the race lead then, as he has built his platform from the get-go here of this one. 13 seconds. Oh my! Velin! What a stop! 13 seconds! This is going to be close, but Velin Vitanov is going to be beaten out of the pit lane here by Chris Vrasilov. Where's his teammate? Only just heading through turn one now. He's got the jump, and it's Velin Vitanov who's the one who will give chase. A second and a half less in the stop, and my does it pay, because he's 3 seconds clear of Johan Neshev now. Is Velin as he goes through the international horseshoe. Gabriel Ivanov is sat in 6th, his worst performance so far this season. Oh my goodness, we are going to be in for an absolute treat of racing by the time we get ourselves over to Interlagos in just 7 days' time. Championships will all need to be decided, with GT3 Pro probably looking like the least likely to at this moment. Ivailo Dimitrov, by the way, back in control of category and in for his final stop. Expect him to only splash and dash. Stebler now is trying his best to hold Hunor Horshi in the race on for second. Alex Stefanov has come out of the pits. He's actually ahead of Horshi, and he will fight Struchka for the win. Ivailo Dimitrov, though, will he fall behind Stanislav Naidenov in category here? And Naidenov has gone through turn one. He's actually almost been run up the back by Hunor Horshi, actually, as Naidenov. So that would have been a scary moment, as he's under pressure from Stebler. Wow. A lot to uncork. And still, we sit and watch here as Johan Neshev in 3rd place. He will drop a few points to his teammate, but he's not the direct threat. He will look at the points gained. 3rd versus 6th, and this is important to know. Oh, big issues. Yulian Janovsky down there at the West Horseshoe. And a big slowdown there as he tries to allow the redress then for Ivan Boromechkov. Oh, he's so late on the brakes. He grabs the grass on the inside. He can't get it slowed down. Oh, it's a tiny tap on the outside, and it will look a lot worse in slow motion. And just about gets through one of the, I believe they're going through there was Maxim Ivanov, just about avoiding it there. So Ivan Podomechkov, you can see he's left the door, he's left the door, he's left the door. You can't leave the door open forever. You can't throw yourself off the road to avoid an incident. And that one there proving to be a little bit too much then late on. Koshev, by the way, is through on Maxim Dimitrov and now has a gap. So that's big. There is Mavrodiev, who is now working around with Ivan Podomechkov, 13th and 14th. They both find themselves then racing for, and Podomechkov still got straight line speed. You've also got Janovsky who's trying to get back and gain that place cleanly this time, I hope, as he looks down towards the inside. Not going to get there. Maxim Ivanov once more will maybe have a bit of a flashback if I don't really want to get involved, and manages that. But I was going to say, difference between third and sixth in points. It's 58 points for third. It's 49 for sixth. It's 9 more points in the overall standings to chase that down. That gap of 21 will be 12, and that is very, very recoverable. If there's anything that goes on for Chris Vrajilov here, a 10-second penalty or that ilk or higher, that could be, instead of being a 12-point gap over at the top of the standings, it would be even more. It would be a 7-point gap, the difference between a first and a second. Alex Stefanov close, now in the fight for the race lead. So he will want to get everything he can, and Novev now is going to have to start fighting Raichanov. This is not what you want late on in this race. They've dropped Ivanov by 3 seconds, and this is where you start wondering, because he jumped as well. Gabriel Ivanov might be able to gain a place here in this one late, even if he doesn't make the pass on Raichanov. Right now, this is where you're starting to get the sense. 10 minutes to go, and these final 10 minutes, these are the water torture hours. You start thinking about every corner. How long does it take? How painful is it that I can't get close enough to hunt this gap down? And all the while, it's 1.8 at the front for overall as Velin Vitanov tries to hunt this and win this one outright. You looked at that wiggle there from Christian Novev. That's a driver under pressure. Janovsky then here in through turn one. He's not going to be close enough to really make anything happen, but it's a 1.5 seconds now for the race lead. Borisov, slow down penalty. Stefanov now side by side with Daniel Struchka, and he tries the long way, and it's not going to work even with GT traffic, and this plays into Struchka's hands nicely, because the more he fights, the more likely Hunor Horshi gets in, but they don't want to allow Stebler in. Light flash to say, look, come on, stop defending that hard. I don't want these guys behind me to get into play and to get into line in the final 10 minutes. That's huge. What's also huge is this, because here comes Raichanov now on Novev, outside line. Aston Martin getting the run on the Mustang here in towards turn one, trying to go the long way around. You're still going to have to fight it. They got GT traffic, GT4 traffic on the inside, and it's just going to be cleared there by Novev. Enough, just enough to get that clearance, just enough to say that I've got that safety valve in the back of my mind, that I'm not going to be overtaken through this traffic and through this run. Velin Vitanov, by the way, 1.2 was the gap, but he gets stuck on the outside of Kevin Abbey, and the gap skyrockets to 2 seconds again. Then with 9 minutes to go, another little think to that inside then, but Venti is not going to be in a place where he's close enough yet to go and make that move. We got brilliant races everywhere right now to put this to finish. Koshev now clear of Maxim Dimitrov by 9 seconds. It looks like he's had a moment on track. Janovsky still hoping that he can get by Podomechkov out there. And now Martin Yankov looking around. That's Milan Milchev who's just gone by him then to get that clearance. But Alex Stefanov is not done. Nicholas Nikos, I think, is limping home at the moment here, just trying to stay out of the way of everyone. But this is the big battle. This is where the big money's going to have to be made, side by side, and there's not much help there. Hunor Horshi knows it. He wants to win this race and get his 5th straight, put maximum damage into the banker Martin Yankov, but His teammate's going to make it tough. The door's ajar. The door's ajar. Hunohoshi down the inside. Gets up into second, covers the move off, heading into the International Horseshoe. And now around the outside, Alex Stefanov's going to get no mid-corner speed through the middle with how aggressive he was on the brakes. Good move. Hunohoshi now up to second. Ivanov is in the pit lane. Gabriel Ivanov is in the pit lane. He's short on fuel. This is cardinal. This is absolutely cardinal. How many spots are you going to lose? If you go behind Koshev, you're dropping huge in general. Oh my goodness, Gabriel, a splash and dash. How much time? Now he'll go. That was nothing. 5.6 seconds. Koshev goes by. Dimitrov goes by. He's down to 8th place. And this a day he could ill afford right now, because he'll know he'll drop his dreams of taking pro honours. But now in general, what's the difference between 3rd and 8th? You now may ask. It's 58 for 3rd. In 8th, it's 45. So he would be dropping 13 championship points, and the gap would go down to 8. And if there was anything to say about Vrajilov, that 8 points could be 2 by the time they reach Interlagos, and that everyone looks at the stewards right now. So this is huge. Robin Skelton trying to get up then and make it 2 on the podium for the Yekov Rally score. And Robin could really do with it at the moment. Velin Vitanov, I think, has run out of chances to go and get that back. He's backed well off of it and now has gone into fuel save mode to get himself home. But it's still all about these drivers right now in GT4. Horsey is going to be the one under pressure now. He'll have to play gunner for Struchka in the final stage because they've allowed Stebler there. Mistake, and Stebler can't get a run. Dylan Stebler can't get a run. They've got a car trying to get by him on the inside, I think. Oh, no, Stebler's off. And he's going to drop the place, and that's Chris Vrajilov, the leader, who had to try and get by that. They've just managed it. Raichunov still trying desperately to go and get by Christian Novev, heading to the final laps of this race, and he still can't manage it. We'll take a look here. Vrajilov was trying to go down the inside. Stefanov's got to leave room, and he just can't turn. He's outbroke himself. Stebler just doesn't have enough turn in it. He did get it slowed down enough, and it was only just enough as that goes on. Nikos off the road as that goes by Novev and Raichunov, and there is Mikov hoping late that he's got a pass in the back of his mind on Robin Skelton for 3rd in class. Skelton through and now making that move under 5 minutes then in this race. Naidenov with a 6-second lead over Lazar Katsarski. Currently Stanimir Borisov is 5th. And those are big points that he'll be ceding to Stanislav Naidenov, who will now be looking very close to that championship in GT3 AM. And this has been a Daytona that has shaken up the field, that has said you've got a little bit more to try and show. Raichunov still not giving up here against Novev. Wants that 4th place, not for championship effort, but for a lot of pride out there of saying, I gave it my all here in this one, as he now tries to figure out, where am I going to go? They got GT traffic in front of their same kind. That's Milan Milchev. He goes high onto the lapping lane. A very nice decision there to go and make that happen. Now here they go in towards turn number 1 and trying again. It's almost futility at the moment that is being met, and Stanimir Borisov having a little bit of a blink there. That would cause a lot of concern for many. He's fighting Lyubomir Velkov for position. I think we need to see Stanimir's fight right now, because he knows that he needs every point he can get in GT3 AM right now. The driver 21st in this field, and he's trying to get by the GT4s here, and that's also important because this is going on right in front of Raichunov here, and slightly running off the road actually went Stanimir Borisov. Look at that from Raichunov. He's trying to go the long way around the horseshoe. Now he's going to hold, and Novev's not going to get there. Brilliant. Venti up to 4th. Hard fought, but not over with, because there's the run on the exit down on the bottom. Yoink. I'm going to steal that one back, and they're going to have a lot of heavy traffic in front of them to try and get by. Stebler and Stefanov and Horsey and Struchka, and you say Huno Horsey is in the right place if he wants to try and put a move late on here against those around. Novev gets the better of the brakes down the inside. He moves back into 4th position, and he will see the quartet fighting for the win in GT4 in front and go, that's all I've got left to try and navigate by. That's all I want in order to try and hold my station steady late on in this race. Now, which way are you going to go? It's going to have to be to the right. And, oi, that's going to be a close. Look at this. This is trying to be a box in here. Nova's going to go under the apron. That's naughty. That's going off the racing line. You can protest that. And that's going to be huge. Oh, in the back. In the back goes Venceslav Rajinov. That could have very nearly been more. Stefanov now down the inside of Huno Horsey. This is to move up to 2nd place. They're not going to yield here to the GT3s at the moment. They've got every license to battle. No way through. And you can't go for the gap down the middle. Horsey now is going to have to lean on it here. This is disastrous. Stebler's going to get forced out. He's going to drop off the back of that group. And still they're side by side. Clearance for Christian Novev here. But now Venti's going to have to wait for the kink to try and get this sorted. And now off the exit, there's no drive for Alex Stefanov. The move is made. Venti's now going to force his way through and say, look, I can't wait any longer. I've got to go. And now he gets himself by with 2 laps to go. Oh, what a brilliant scrap. And it's going to continue on. Struchka's been given a reprieve of about half a second here to go and work with. But, whew, this is going to be all down on it. Mikov then is going to be in play. Viveka's got a slow down penalty. And Gabriel Ivanov's only 1.4 seconds now behind Maxim Dimitrov, and he's going to want to try and catch that as well. So there is still a lot that is going to decide who's going to get what in this race. This has been a game changer out there as they now sit with 45 seconds on the clock. Chris Vrajilov will now take the white flag lap as waved by the flagman Barney. Now it's going to be about how he looks to respond, because he's only got 3.8 seconds over Velin Vitanov at this stage. You also have to keep GT4 open and honest, because Huno Horsey will try and run down that gap to his own teammate. Vrajilov working to the international horseshoe, and he looks very happy with the way he's going. Alex Stefanov might want second as well, and he looks down low to try and get that. High now to try and pinch, and he still can't find any way through. Horsey is perfect through turn 1. He will eye up the prancing, or say the runaway Mustang of Daniel Struchka now. He's given himself a chance. In fact, they all have here. Stebler's managed to pull himself to the back. When you consider that Martin Yankov is back there in 6th place, these are huge points that you can start profiteering off. Naidenov might get an extra one as well, because Boromechkov's thrown it in the wall, going up onto the oval, banking on the final lap. That's big as they now look at the West Horseshoe, and it's all about lining up, and Huno Horsey knows it. He just needs a drive that is going to give him everything he wants. Championships aside, this is going to be a great race to the end, but we are going to have to go over to more battles. Gabriel Ivanov is dropping, and dropping more. More points gone, and the general championship is going to be forever, irrevocably changed. No doubt on pace today that it's Chris Vrajilov who's got it. This was must win by his standards, but you wonder whether the jump start is going to come back to haunt him. Chris Vrajilov wins here ahead of Velin Vitanov, who will take second, and third will be in the hands of Johan Nechev. What's the drive, though, on the final lap? There's a big crash. Stebler's in it. Stefanov's in it. And they're both going to drop, and that could be massive. Now it's just the teammates left. It's going to be Horsey versus the likes then of Daniel Struchka to the line. Koshev's going to take honours and all but guarantee his win. Side by side to the line now. It's not. Struchka takes GT4. It's Koshev we wait for over the line, who will take the honours in GT3 Pro-Am. And then, of course, we'll have to wait for Stanislav Naidenov to head towards the line here, as there are going to be a lot of late questions to be asked here as far as this race goes. Gabriel Ivanov is going to limp over the line with a slowdown in 11th. And if he didn't serve that in time, he is going to be hit with a 40-second time penalty at the end of the race. So did he get that served in time, yes or no, on a tough day at the office for Gabriel Ivanov? There's your winner. But we do want to look at Stanislav Naidanov, because this is important, GT3 AM, car 88, because he knows he's putting a lot of points in. A look at this, though, on the final lap. Over the curb, the GT3 loses traction. Alex Stefanov nowhere to go. Stebler thought he could shoot a gap. He ends up painting himself into a corner. Both of them taking a big hit. Stefanov would still finish third and Stebler in fourth, but not the way they wanted their day to go out and end there, as they put. Nicholas Nikos, it was, just losing it on transfer, putting the steering down in, almost saved it, but then there was a GT4 on the inside, and nothing he could do. He was trying to stay out of trouble, and ultimately, that pretty much paints the picture of that. So let's take one final look here. So he's over the curb, he's lost it, he gets a slide, he's caught it. Oh, he gets 2 hits, actually. He gets 2 hits. Stebler's actually run up the back of him at the same time he's got the hit on the side. So, double trouble. Sorry, Nicholas. That's as tough as it goes. So, Stebler pulls himself in. Bang. He has that first hit. Bang. There's the second hit. Bang. Third hit into the wall. And you can watch this one 1,000 times. There's not really much you can do about that. That's just unfortunate on the final lap of a race. Let's get confirmation of result then, because Chris Radulov unofficially has won this race at 1 hour, 11 minutes and 6 seconds because of the jump start right at the very beginning. We'll see what that does if that is protested at the end of this race. Second will be Velin Vitanov, and it will be Johan Neshev who will finish off this race in third. It looks like our race results graphic has just failed us here, ladies and gentlemen, with Christian Novev fourth and Ventislav Raichanov in fifth. It will be 6th position then over to the line for the likes of Leon Kiermaier. Rosti Koshev will finish 7th with Maxim Dimitrov 8th. 9th will belong to Roman Skelton with Nikolai Mikov 10th, and Gabriel Ivanov, your championship leader, car 11, P11. Suddenly, general championship is on a knife edge. 12th will belong to the likes of Iordanin Svetanov with Yulian Janovsky and Vladimir Mavrodiev, with Stanislav Naidanov, the GT3 AM champion, in 50th, or winner in 15th, closing his gap down over Ivan Boromechkov and Lazar Katsarski 16th and 17th. It's then Roy Viveka, Ivilo Dimitrov and Lyubomir Velkov, with Stanimir Borisov, Arnie Weiss, Nicholas Nikos, Joris Ooms. Effectively, it's all but done in GT3 Pro-Am, and Milan Milchev 25th. You then had Daniel Struchka pick up his first win in the GT4 category, with Hunor Horshi second, critically putting a big amount of daylight between him and Martin Yankov. Alex Stefanov, despite the last lap crash, is third ahead of Dylan Stebler. With Kevin Aby fifth, Martin Yankov then, it's then Norbert Heye and Kamto Chikure. Krastin Stanchev at 4 laps adrift, Maxim Ivanov at 4 laps adrift, and so too Valentin Stamenkov. And your retirees, 2 Dimitars, Dimitrov and Palauzov, Radlen Ivanov, Alexander Nikolov Jr., and critically Hristo Sarkazov, who had a power cut and was not able to attend the start of the race. So, let's bring ourselves over to press conference form. Now here with you on SimGear and the SimGear press conference, a number of drivers that we will have the ability to go and talk to over the course of this racing. And, well, it's about who we can get in and jump in and start. And in fact, let's do it the other way this time. Let's start with GT4 and work up. So let's start ourselves off with the driver who finished off in second in GT4, that being Hunor Horshi. And Hunor, a championship lead that will increase today after this, because Martin Yankov couldn't keep with you, but that one was having to be the best thinker in the pack, surely, understanding that you got 4 drivers who can go out there and win this race. Well, we hope we've got Hunor. Hunor, have we got you?
Oh, sorry, it's me. I wasn't realizing. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, it was a very tough race today. Very tough race. It was genuinely all about strategy. not much so pace, because on pace Porsche should have won, but obviously due to teamwork, luck we did get the 1 and 2, and it was very very tough. The fact that there were 4 of us at the end, and the constant defending at the last few laps, it was amazing. It was a great thrill.
A hard-fought race at the end, and one where you managed to get yourself positioned through some very heavy GT traffic trying to get through you, and then you found yourself in position. So with the position that it gave you, you had a chance for the run to get that done on your teammate. It looked like you pulled it out to one side, Huno, but ultimately, as far as it goes, it looked like Daniel had the legs in the Mustang.
He might have had it. We will never know, because from the moment the race started, our strategy was to let Danny go up front, and me being the defensive driver, to maybe have him stay as up as possible, and it worked out as one can see. And at the end, I didn't try to overtake. We were just trying to replicate that 2004 moment with the Ferraris at Indianapolis. That was the plan, but yeah, I didn't have the drive.
Well, you are certainly going to gain in terms of your championship position, in terms of the gap you've got. With just Interlagos to go, it's looking like just keep it on the island with the pace you've got, and the championship is there. Do you feel like Interlagos is going to throw up something maybe out of the ordinary for you, or do you feel like that the result that you got here at Daytona has given you an almost insurmountable position?
I'm happy you asked that. If whether Interlagos is going to throw something unexpected. Well, not specifically for me, because I think I'm very confident on that circuit, but to everyone else around, and me as well, because it's a general thing. I kind of expect some rain, because we hadn't had we had a drop of rain in the World Championship, and Interlagos is kind of known for uh, the unexpected weather conditions that can occur there. So it will be a very interesting race, but I'm confident with my lead now. Just gotta bring it home, basically, at the last one.
Huno Horshi there joining us and getting the race victory here. Oh, sorry, the second place out there and almost in championship. This is too common to see that at the moment. But we will now get his teammate Daniel Struchka then along, who is your winner here in this one. And Daniel, at long last, the pace has finally paid off.
Yes, exactly. It finally happened. I'm so happy. But it was all thanks to Hunor, the Hungarian Minister of Defense. I mean, he was just flawless all the way through. We executed the strategy perfectly, I would say. And yeah, it paid off, it seems.
So it pays off for you, and you talk about how you're starting to learn and generate with what you're looking for over the course of a season. You're trying to build up your pace, trying to build up understanding. You're trying to get yourself up in VGTR to say, look, I can challenge in these races. It's taken you 6 to get you to this point, but what has that development process been like for you? Understanding that Mustang and getting it into a position where you can start pushing and attacking.
Well, I would say tons of practice, which in Daytona I don't think it really matters because of the slipstream and the pace difference between the Porsche and the everybody else, basically. But it seems it paid off, and yeah, basically the Mustang itself, the GT4 Mustang, is even on the 7th setting of TC. It is a handful out of the corners, and it can snap on you in an instant in the going into the corners, basically. So yeah, it is a handful, but I think I got it done.
More than a handful. You now start turning over to Interlagos, and how does that play for you? You've got one win, and the team's got all bar one of them this season. Do you think it's going to be one more that you're looking at? Well, firstly for the team, but secondly, do you feel like you can go back to end the season?
Back to back, well, realistically, not so much, but the hope is always there. And if something happens, the team is always first. So if the same happens, and Martin Yomkov, who is I don't know if he's ahead of me or behind me in the championship, but if that is what matters, then the strategy will be for sure the most important thing too.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with it. Daniel Struchka, your winner in GT4. We do have the third place driver, Alex Stefanov, who is here as well. Alex, first and foremost, you had a chance to fight for that victory, but out of that final chicane, both you and Dylan Stebler both found yourself in the wall there. Just talk us through what happened in the final few laps.
Hello. Yeah, tried to take the win. I had the pace. So at the last corner on the chicane with Dylan, it was unlucky. I don't know what happened. Someone hit me from behind, and then it was lucky that I hit the wall and then finished third. Yeah, I'm happy with the result, but I could do much better.
Where do you think then the difference maker is in terms of that race? There was a lot of little moments out there, pockets of gaps that opened and closed and opened and closed. No one was ever truly out of it in GT4. Where do you think the difference maker for you was in that race?
I think the difference was maybe in the defense, then depending in uh, Honor was really the minister of defense, so I couldn't make it better, and I tried, but he was very good in the defending, so Turska took the win.
So how you look at this season, last year you were, I would say, paced to challenge for a championship, but didn't have the rounds in the back pocket. This season, it looks like the pace has been more of a problem in terms of GT4 spec to get yourself up with the new drivers that have jumped in. How do you look to try and wrestle back then that form after a near miss here at Daytona and with one round left at Interlagos?
I think I have the same pace like last year. The problems here is my consistency in the races, and as you see in the last race and the race before on Mount Panorama, I had some accidents with slower guys on the grid, so I think I could fight for top 5.
Well, the opportunity is there, and we'll see it next week. Thank you. Alex Stefanov joining us there. Third position overall in GT4. We're going to move to GT3 AM at the moment, and your winner in that category was Stanislav Naidanov. Now, Stanislav, it's been a few races now of just trying to get the slank car into a nice position to score points, and today for you, with Stanimir Borisov down there in 5th position, you pretty much half the gap there in the AM category championship. Are you now starting to eye up here with these sorts of results you're putting on the board that a championship is possible?
I don't know. I was a bit lucky with the GT4 traffic. Maybe my early pit entry gave me an advantage. I'm definitely not the fastest of my class, but like my best friend and teammate Łazar Kacarski says, consistency can win you races, not the fastest laps.
And you're certainly finding that at the moment. So talk us through how that level of consistency is built over the week of practice to get yourself ready for a race like this. Because as a driver who's trying to learn, the first thing you've got to make sure you've got is a car, surely, that can make it an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it was like a training with Lazar, and every night 1, 2, 3 hours we practice. We starting to get better times, and maybe that pays out. I don't know.
Well, we know that Interlagos is a circuit that brings the unpredictable along with it, but for you, you're starting to build up a head of steam. What do you think the difference maker between you and Stanislav is going to be then when you, between you and Stanimir, when you get to Interlagos? What do you think you are looking at that's going to give the edge between one or the other?
Well, I don't know. It will be again the luck with the accidents, with the pace, maybe the weather. We don't know it's gonna be wet or not. And definitely that maybe he drives from a little bit longer. I'm in the sim world from about 6 months. It's my first championship, my first win, and I'm happy about it. I will be happy even if I'm not in the top 3. I'm getting fun, and that's the point of it.
First championship, first win, and it could be a first title if all things go the way. Stanislav Naidanov there joining us for conversation, winning the category. And critically, it's his teammate behind him in second, Lazar Katsarski, who's here along with me right now. And Lazar, That is pretty much everything Sank would have wanted in GT3 AM. A 1-2 for the team. You couldn't have asked for too much better for the purple and yellow.
Yep, that was one of our best races, I would say. Hopefully next one will be the same.
Talk us through the car choice, because you're both out there in Porsches. Do you circle a race like this in mind, knowing that the Porsches are traditionally lightning fast around this place? Or were you looking at this from the season of, it's probably the easiest one for us to go out there and drive for the course of the season?
Well, honestly, previous seasons I drove another car, but this time I know Stanisław he really likes that car. It's one of his favorite cars, so I thought it's his first championship, so let's drive the same car together. And till now, I think it's good choice.
It certainly does look like a good choice. You've been keeping yourself busy over the course of the races. You've been close on many occasions, a few second places as far as standings have gone. But ultimately, you walked in 45 points back. You're also with an outside shot, but you're going to need a lot of help for the championship. But in terms of the team, seeing the GT3 AM standings and the way you've been putting it together, for you, how good has this season been for you? I know you found a few incidents the season before, but it certainly looks like your consistency level has gone a lot up in this last season.
Yeah, I hope the consistency is there. I would say couple of races I didn't have luck, had some troubles with my steering wheel as well, but it's all part of the game, so just do the best we can, and that's it.
And the best is all that you can ask for. Lazar Katsarski there joining us and picking up a second place finish in GT3 AM. We will move over to GT3 Pro Am as Rosti Koshev has taken the category then in that one. And Rosti, with a poor day at the office then for Joris Erms, who caught damage early on, you only need to start and finish the race in Interlagos with the drivers that we have that normally hit the championship to get the title sorted. How important has it been, your level of consistency, to constantly be peppering the top 10 this season?
Well, that's the most important. The consistency is there. I very much train for it. I have a bit more pace here, but I just thought it's better for me to keep it consistent, make no mistakes. I have a clean race as well, so it was good.
You had to fight a little late on in that race with Maxim Dimitrov, who threw himself up there near the front, but you got the clearance, and then it looked like the gap just seemed to skyrocket from that point onwards. So was it no real pressure then from that one in terms of a move, or were you just trying to eye that up and making sure you had a gap?
Well, it's always pressure when you make a move for the lead. I was saving fuel behind him pretty much the whole race, and after the last pit stop, I had to push to overtake him. So it was a good battle.
A good battle. You know that it's just a case of finding 70 minutes of driving, or as we call it, Sunday driving, over at Interlagos. In terms of how you look to bring that one then back home, what do you think about Interlagos as a track? I know it's a lot of drivers, one of their favorites out there, but for the flow state, the way that you constantly have corners that you can battle and go too wide at, do you think it's one that's going to be favoring this sort of category GT3 and 4?
It's a bit hard with the GT4s, but the track itself is good. I like it as well, so we'll see.
We certainly will. Rosti Koshev all but guaranteed the title over at Interlagos in GT3 Pro Am. We will go to his teammate who finished off in third position today in category, Robban Skelton. And Robban, that is your best performance, I think, that I've seen from you so far. And a gain of 9 spots over the course of this race. Where did those positions come for you?
It was actually a matter of technical issues in the start of the race. I didn't manage to qualify good. And my computer actually crashed like 2 times just before the qualifying and right after it. So it was lucky that I even managed to squeeze a qualifier. At the start of the race, I was very, it was very hectic start for me because I was very worried that the computer would crash again. But, that passed. And then the first pit stop came. After the first pit stop, everything was smooth driving for the, rest like 10 laps. And after the last pit stop, I started to push because I saw that I can, gain some positions, and that's how, I ended up in the 9th spot.
So you've been able to build on the course of this season. You've got a very quick teammate in Rusty alongside you. What does R&R mean for you in terms of a team, and how are you able to work together as a team, build the results, and get something like this out of it at the end of work at Daytona?
R&R Motorsport actually means Rusty and Robin, and that's our names. And Rusty is very good with doing setups. He helps me a lot. We train together like for the most of the week. I was very uncertain for this race because we haven't driven the 24-hour Daytona this year, and I was skeptical that everybody else would have an advantage over us. But it seems like Rusty's setup managed to clinch our win after all.
And how do you look to put yourself together at the final round of the championship? Interlagos is one where the dramatic has tended to go out there. So do you feel like you can go and steal a victory or get yourself back up on the podium again there?
Interlagos is a good track for me. We had a bit of fun with the Porsche Cups with Rusty there, but I'm just hoping that there are no technical issues there, and I'm finding consistency because in the past few races, I'm getting caught up in some incidents, and that's ruining my races, honestly. So, we're hoping for the best.
Well, the best we hope back the other way as Robin Skelton joins us there, third in class, which will lead us over to GT3 Pro and your winner, Chris Vrajalov. And Chris, it's a long time coming for a victory like this, especially as the qualifying woes have certainly bitten you this season. So how critical was that today to get not just a pole position, but a victory as well?
Yeah, finally, it's good to see you again here. It's been a while. Yeah, it's finally I've managed to do something better in quali. And in all fairness, it's a Porsche track anyways. So I was not struggling much at all compared to the previous races.
So the race result was perfect. The qualifying was perfect. The only question that will be asked will be, were you too early on the start? Because you look around and you managed to pull about 2.5, 3 seconds off of the get-go of the start. Did you just time that perfect, or are you worried that you jumped?
It was a cheeky start. No, I jumped the start. I thought that's the only way I can break the draft, so sacrifice 2 license points for that.
Well, that is one way of making it happen. For you, though, you are stage hunting now going towards the end of this season. With the confidence now buoyed here from a circuit like this one, are you now looking over towards racing action at Interlagos going, look, it hasn't been the season for me, but I can take the positives of it, that I was the strongest by the end of it?
Unfortunately, I'm like 99% certain that I won't be able to make it for the last race. So that's the place where I wanted to thank you and the whole crew behind SIMGEAR Championship for what they did this season. Yeah, unfortunately, I'll miss the last one, but what a season it's been. It was really good fun.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful to see, and it was wonderful to get you out there and racing and up near the top again. Chris Vrajalov picking up the victory. Second position would belong to Velin Vitanov, and Velin, I think, more importantly than individual accolade, is the team accolade for you, because you have just clinched the team's championship between yourself and Johan. So first and foremost, a congratulations for a fantastic team effort.
Thank you. Very happy with this result, but my expectation is to Chris Vrasius to be disqualified because he have a penalty to not make a qualified, but he make a qualified, and after that he take P1 and win the race. In my opinion, this is a little bit unsportsmanship, and also he intentionally make a false start and grind time against us.
You can certainly see the position that you're in and how you feel about it. That one, I'm sure that the Stewart team will have a very close look at. Velin, Despite that, though, you had the ability to get the jump on everyone else through the second stint, over to the third through leapfrogging and fuel saving. And you managed to pull that gap down to about 1.2 seconds, but the gap then stretched back out to about 5. Was traffic difficult for you in the final stages of the race?
Yeah, I have the pace, and my strategy in the first stint was to try to save how as much possible fuel, to not fight with Johan Neshev, Vince Sofrachinov, and Gabriel Ivanov. And this strategy, in my opinion, worked because in the end of the race, I had a 4-second gap ahead of Johan Neshev, and I almost catch Chris Verschew, but I decided to stop pushing in the end of the race because I said I think he will be disqualified, and because of that I drive safe in the last 5 laps.
So you're still in with a shot of taking the GT3 Pro standings. It's an outside shot. Driver General's a little bit tougher by comparison. So do you believe that you're going to be out there fighting for the championship on overall, or are you playing gunner to your teammate Johan?
I think I can't win the overall championship. I am too far, and Interlagos it's not the best track for the Mercedes. I think Aston Martin and Ford are better cars. I will try to help Johan Neshev to win the championship against Gabriel Ivanov. This time I will give my position in the end of the race if I am ahead of him.
Well, that we will keep in mind when Interlagos comes into play. Velim Vitanov, second position overall here today. And a little bit of deja vu for me because it's the second time today I've had the chance to interview Johan Neshev. He took the win in the Sim Racing Republic Pro-Am category, but here in Pro, in the SimGear GT Masters, a third place it is. But critically, your main rival, if you're talking general standings here, Johan, 11th over the line. This championship is going to be next to nothing heading to Interlagos. Do you feel confident after a result like that today?
Well, yeah, today I wasn't so confident. I thought because of the Mustang, it's so slow, like the fuel consumption is so terrible. I thought I was going to be behind all the pros, or yeah, somewhere around there. And I'm glad I had my teammate Velin. We worked together, we saved fuel, we gave each other slipstream, and yeah, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have done it.
So you now start to think about this race and how it got constructed. You know that the gap was built early and maybe a little bit unfairly, some would say. But in terms of having to roll with the punches, scrap early with Gabriel, have Venceslav Rajchinov in and around you for the majority of that first stint. What was the difference maker by the time you got to that second stint and suddenly it's just you and your teammate?
To be honest, I have no idea how we managed to open such a gap. We just did our normal strategy. We had the long box first and the short one second. The other cars must have had a slow strategy or something. I don't know.
So, looking at Interlagos, championship finale, driver general standings on the line, a big improvement for you in GT3 Pro. That's more likely to go to you than the driver general. What are you thinking about that in terms of how you set up your stall for this one? Do you want to be out there and desperately going to get driver general and GT3 Pro? And do you think that it will change how you think about it if you end up not getting the general standings but still winning GT3 Pro? Do you still feel like you'll be the stronger winner if those honors are shared?
Well, yeah, for sure, but I'm not so concerned about the overall standings. Because the championship and the trophy is for the pro championship, and yeah, I will just try to play it safe, not crash, of course, and yeah, won't fight a lot. We have a safe strategy, maybe. I don't know.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck when Interlagos comes to view in 7 days. Johan Neshev, third place and continuing to put the rich vein of form into play. That will be that then for the SimGear GT Masters press conference and for coverage here today on SimGear. If you haven't done so already, do all those great, wonderful YouTube things. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell so you know that great racing is going to be coming over this way. but a lot needs to be discussed from one week to the next. This might be one of the heaviest weeks for the stewarding team that they have to deal with, not in terms of big incidents, but of course, because of that start of the race and what has gone about. There was amazing racing that all put itself on the line, and you had to go to the highest level to make it happen. A first win for Daniel Struchka, and one that will surely be the first of many here in the SimGear GT Masters. Hunor Horshi will extend his lead over Martin Yankov and feel comfortable in that regard. Stanimir Borisov now looks over his shoulder in GT3 AM because Stanislav Naidenov has hunted down that gap and now closes within 20 points of his nearest challenger. GT3 Pro-Am Rally 3 is all but secure after a horrid day for Joris Urms. Jordan Svetanov coming together with him, which means Roshdi Koshev only has to start and finish the race in order to go and secure that championship. But as GT3 Pro is in the pocket of Johan Neshev for the moment, drivers' general standings are right up to the wire. Ivanov, Neshev, and Velin Vitanov. Of those three, one of them is going to walk out of Interlagos as an overall champion, and you can only wait 7 days for that. Join us Sunday, February 8th, for the season finale as we head to Brazil and to the Autodromo José Carlos Pache.